Ladies of Reddit, what have you done to try to impress a guy, and it backfired? My 3rd grade picture is easily my least favorite school photo for various reasons. I was rocking huge glasses, a snazzy sweater vest and green corduroy shorts combo. I also chose to give my crush this photo complete with my phone number on the back. Naturally, as I was leaving after giving him this photo, I thought it would be a good idea to turn around and gave him a big ole wink. The memory and the photo still make me cringe. Actually, that gets you major props for the courage to even make the move. Complete with turn around wink. My elementary and junior high self is so happy and mortified at the same time. I was so shy. 6th grade me would always give my iPod Touch to my crush at lunchtime so he could play Fruit Ninja and crap. He'd sit at my desk and we'd talk. It made me really happy. Thought he was starting to like me too because he always rushed over to me before the bell rang. But nope. He was just using me to play on my iPod, lol. I forgot to bring it one day. He came over, asked where it was and then immediately turned and walked away. I made sure never to forget it again after that. Young me didn't care that I was being used. I just liked spending time with him. Adult men and women all around still feel this way. Sigh. Put down other girls. Try to make myself look better than other girls. Back in high school I tried so hard to play the whole I'm not like other girls, look at me, I play video games. I don't care about fashion. I'd rather be napping than shopping card. Then I realized that I needed to get my head out of my butt. Asked him to guess what I got for Christmas. My answer to him was you. He told me he didn't get it. I further emphasized saying he was my Christmas gift, and he still didn't get it. I laugh and cry a little inside every time I think about that conversation. I mean, I think she's saying that she got me for Christmas, but I would have definitely remembered that. In my defense, I was a lot younger when I did this and realize now, very well, how creepy and cringy it was. Gifts, all the time. Gifts, I'd want him to know I was thinking, probably closer to obsessing, about him, and wanted him to think of me every time he looked at whatever lame and wanted thing I had picked up this time. Oh, he has a dog? We talked about dogs? I'll buy him a plush dog. That way he'll know I listen to him. Ugh. WTF was wrong with you, younger self? I didn't realize how creepy it was until it happened to me. This was a guy I was actually dating, though for just a couple months. I was thinking of breaking it off anyway, because he was just trying too hard way too fast. I was working second shift at the time, so home about midnight. He had a habit of just coming over. Sometimes that was okay. Sometimes I just wanted a beer and a bath and a bed, alone, and not talk to anyone. But no, he would just show up. One night I get a text from him. Look outside your door. I lived in apartments with a secured entrance. I opened my apartment door and there was a card and a rose. From him. How the frick did he even get in? Followed someone in probably. I sent him a generic text that was basically just thanks. Going to bed now. He texts back, look outside your window. And there he is parked in the parking lot. I went down and screamed at him. Not my finest moment, but I hadn't planned on company anyway. He never asked or even called first. Just showed up. And now I didn't feel loved or paid attention to. I felt watched and stalked. He was just trying to be romantic and creative. I'm sorry to all the guys out there that my younger self gave the creeps. Karma got me in the end. Your love language is gift giving. Fundamentally, that's not creepy at all. It's just the implementation of said love language. Instead of gift giving, find out what your crush love language is. Speak to him in that language. And once you're together, then let him know that gift giving is your language of affection. Semi-NSW. Just a warning. I was dating a new guy at the time and we had just started sleeping together. He was the second person I had ever been with. I got the impression he was more experienced than I was, and I didn't want to bore him. I got the idea in my head that I should try being on top. Surely that would make things more interesting. So we're in the midst of things one day, and instead of initiating and climbing on like a normal person, I tried to overpower him and barrel roll so we wouldn't have to miss a beat. Apparently I took him by surprise. He slid out and propped up a leg to hold his balance and successfully kneed me right in the crotch. That kind of put a damper on things for the next few days. Good sex is like dancing. You want to let your partner into any move, not surprise him. When I was younger, like 13, I was trying to impress a boy while riding our bikes. We lived in a pretty quiet neighborhood, so we didn't really have to worry about cars. I turned to tell him something, can't remember what, but I'm sure it was a dumb joke, and did not notice the parked car that I was moving towards. I ended up flipping over the car, landing on the roof and nearly breaking my leg, bleeding and crying on top of a car. Insta good look for anyone. Not gonna lie, I would have fallen for you instantly. In the 5th grade, I learned that my crush loved reading Goosebumps. My mom would take me to the bookstore every weekend and I could get one book. I was all about the Babysitter's Club series at that time and trying to read and catch up on the series. I used up one of my bookstore opportunities to buy a random Goosebumps book. My mom totally knew what was up. She gave me the most skeptical look. I swore it was for me and I was trying something new. I tried reading a chapter and it scared me too much. I decided to give it to him for Valentine's Day when we all go around dropping cards into our classmates' bags. I asked the teacher for some cutout hearts. I wrote to Derek, "From your secret admirer" on it. I had my best friend drop it into his brown paper Valentine's bag. I watched him fish it out, look around the room, and put the book in his backpack. I never confessed it was from me. I think I wanted to, but became way too scared. The following year, he didn't enroll in the junior high of the same school, so I hadn't seen him since we were 11. That's super cute. I used to constantly wait for almost all of my crushes. Like, I would stay in school or at work for way longer than needed if I knew that we were going home in the same direction or if I thought that we would get a chance to talk alone. It doesn't sound that bad, but I would do it all the dang time even if it was really inconvenient. Needless to say, I wasn't very productive, especially considering the fact that I also used to spend the resulting small amounts of free time thinking about these people. Edit. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Now I too feel better about this whole being a low-key creep thing. I've done that quite a few times, too. I had the privilege of being on speaking terms with a crush in high school and those 15 minutes of walking bus ride were so worth it. He had a tattoo of a Lego brick on his arm and told me about his love of Lego. So I went to the store and bought him a small but cool Lego set to build. He did work study and had to get there at like 6 AM. I thought I was in. We spoke over text and hung out during breaks for like a week and then one day poof. Ghosted. That is a sophisticated Lego racket he's running. I'll never not be surprised at the lengths a junkie will go to for a fix. Normally when I'm attracted to a guy I'll wait for them to notice me and get sad when they start dating someone else. Obviously that wasn't getting me anywhere, so I took the initiative with the next single guy I had a crush on. I asked him out, planned our first date, and kissed him goodbye after our second date. I thought things were going great. He told me I was coming on too strong and cancelled our third date plans via text. Good, you figured out he's not for you and you'll never have to wonder, what if? Keep that same attitude up and carry on. You'll find someone who works with you. Trying to like the stuff he liked. I didn't pretend to know about it, at least, but I asked a lot of questions and tried to get into the book series, movies and music he liked. So romantic. It would be him tutoring me on all these fascinating subjects and we'd grow closer, right? Wrong. Every instinct inside me was saying this isn't you, you're just not into the Beatles, not into Nietzsche, just accept you don't have anything in common with this guy. But I plowed on, convinced I'd end up liking it. I didn't. He ended up with a girl who actually liked these things, and I want all those hours of my life back. It didn't help that he was an insufferable prick who made fun of the things I liked and never made an effort to listen to me when I talked about my stuff. Since then, I'm not closed off to new subjects or experiences, but if I feel that twinge in my gut telling me this ain't you, I listen. I can't stand people who constantly judge you negatively for liking something they don't like. One of my biggest pet peeves for sure. In 6th grade I thought laughing at every single joke or comment my crush made would make him like me. One day I laughed so hard that strawberry kiwi vitrain I just drank sprayed out of my mouth and nose all over him. Spent way too much money. Bought front row concert tickets for him. Crazy gifts. Paid his bills. Yeah, that just ended up getting me used. Haha. In high school, my mom and I went to the shopping mall where my crush worked in a relatively far away town. I went to the department store where he worked, and on the off chance I might actually get to see him, I bought a bicycle with my Christmas money that year. I did not get to see him, didn't know if he'd even be working that day, and then we had to figure out how to get a bike crammed in our vehicle with me, my mom, my sister, and all our other stuff. Thank goodness for minivans. For a fairly long ride home, my mom tried to talk me out of it, but I wouldn't be swayed, thinking he might be working in the back and helping in handling bigger items, like bikes. But hey, the bike was a neat color and lasted quite a while. This is amazing. I really admire your determination just to make contact. Thanks for making me laugh. In middle school I bought my crush candy during lunch class. I thought that would be a great way to impress him, but he sort of kept expecting candy, like a Pavlovian response or something. Became friends over the years and I told him about that and we both got a good laugh. When we graduated high school he gave me $20 for the candy. That's so sweet, even if it didn't pan out. I wish I had a funny story but I don't see it as funny. I was brought up to believe sex is bad. We weren't religious, and that boys only want sex. I was inexperienced and the only experience I had by the time I was 19 were assaults. I'd go to parties, I'd talk to guys, drink with guys, smoke weed or do drugs with random guys, play beer pong topless, made out with girls or guys for attention. I let people do body shots or lines of coke off of me, but I didn't go out with guys, nor did I have sex with any of them. I just wanted guys to not think I was a prude. I was trying to impress people by acting like a skank, but I don't see it as funny anymore. I just see it as kinda dark. Back in Catholic school, I tried to maximize the plaid skirt to show off my sexy, skinny legs for a guy. I sat down on the edge of my desk and crossed my legs in a sad attempt at seduction. The desk flipped over with a crash, and I ended up in a heap on the floor with the desk on my head. No one was impressed. Man, do I have a story for you. I took my friend to a trampoline park a few years ago, and when we got there we noticed a couple cute guys bouncing across the room. They seemed to be watching us too, between flipping around the park. I wanted to show off my athletic talents to see if they'd notice, and wound up doing the best aerial splits I could. I wound up landing wrong, pulling in my foot too far, and spraining my left ankle. She broke her foot half an hour later. Though we did wind up talking to them and guilting them to drink with us a month later. I had to drive her to the hospital at 9 PM, also injured. I took her to every appointment I could through her healing cause I felt like an absolute butt for taking her there in the first pause. I was dating a guy pretty seriously. After like 6 dates I realized that I had no idea what his last name was. By this time it was way too embarrassing to just ask him, so I tried my best to sleuth it out. He lived with a bunch of roommates and I never had a chance to riffle through his stuff. This went on for like 6 months, me not knowing his last name. Finally I just had my dad, a cop, run his license plate number. I had his last name. It was Iz. I was so proud. A few days later I was introducing him to my friends and said, "This is Steve's Iz." He gave me the weirdest look and soon after asked to leave. In the car he wanted to know why I called him by his stepdad's last name. Car was registered to his stepdad. I had to come clean about running his license plate. I was instantly dumped. On a first date, I attempted to keep up with the guy on alcoholic beverages. I ended up so drunk that he had to help me find my way out of the bar. I tried being kind and nice. I know I probably sound like a nice guy, but seriously, I tried being there for him all the time and always answer his text messages and ask him about his day and just genuinely make him feel listened to. But I may have scared him away by being too available. I'm not too sure. He basically just stopped contacting me, even though he was super into me in the beginning. Way more than I was into him. Either that or I'm just terrible at being nice, even when I do try real hard. But that was years ago. I baked a pie for my boyfriend after not getting to see him for a while. We met up to have a romantic getaway from our jobs. I hitchhiked 2 hours from my home with it for him. When I arrived he said, "What the heck am I going to do with that? You don't expect me to eat a whole pie in 2 days?" He thought it was so dumb he did not eat any of the pie. Less impress and more win over. I was the friend who always listened when he had to whine about anything from his family to the women he was interested in. It backfired in the sense that he never thought of me as anything other than the friend. I know for me, the girl that did that for me, I was into, just didn't want to cross that line and ruin the friendship, considering I didn't know if she was into me or just being a good friend. Tried kinky sex stuff I had no interest in. Then that's all he wanted to do for a little while. So we did, but he wanted to keep escalating it in ways I was less and less comfortable with. Turns out he is into really out there violent deviant stuff. And it didn't really matter if I enjoyed it or not, or if I was really interested or not, and boundaries were not respected. So it was pretty scary in the end. I don't recommend it. Tried to impress a guy by using Reddit. He was impressed that I knew what it was, and so I thought getting an account and using it regularly would be even more impressive. I was wrong. Same. Apparently as a high schooler I figured it would be super impressive to tell my crush I didn't find him attractive at all. Because what teenage boy doesn't want a bruised ego? The explanation here is that I was raised in a toxic family where recognizing any emotions desires was a sign of weakness. And, even worse, femaleness. So, clearly, being detached and above everything was the optimal approach for being cool impressive. That's deep-rooted conditioning, so don't beat yourself too badly over it. At least you were able to identify the situation. Middle school. My confused attraction for a tall young boy who would later become my first love and first official relationship. Before that, my ultimate rival. I had no reason to dislike him, but I hated he was better than me. 1 week into meeting, I shoved dry ramen down his throat. 6 months. Dumped a bucket of sand on him because he was faster than me when playing tag. How did it backfire? Well, we fell for each other. This is a little NSW. I was dating a guy in high school who just so happened to be the guy I lost my virginity to. He told me that he just loved it when girls groomed their nether regions hair into a straight little line. So the naive teenager I am, I get in the bathtub and groom everything into a line like he said he liked. I'm so proud of this. And excited to show him next time we got together. Well, things start getting heated and I show him my grooming and he just bursts out laughing. He goes, you shaved a horizontal line. It looks like Hitler's mustache. I like the line that goes up and down. You know, the landing strip thing. Fail. Hitler's mustache. Took administrative law in law school so we would have a class together. It's a class about the law of making laws, and trust me, it's just as freaking boring as it sounds. We were friends and he didn't even sit next to me in the first week, after which our seats became permanent. I died reading that. The absolute obvious way the world will tell you you did this for the wrong reason. In the first grade, we'd play chase at recess. Either boys versus girls or vice versa. No one really ever got caught. If you actually were faster than the person you were chasing, their friends would just help them wriggle free. The ultimate goal though was to catch and kiss someone. Or at least that's what everyone said. But in retrospect it was just a way to make the game more interesting that no one actually took seriously. Except me. At that age I tried my best at literally everything and had a very serious approach to and interpretation of life. Anyway, on a girls chase boys day I managed to separate him from his friends long enough to kiss him. The worst part was that his friends made fun of him relentlessly for months. While I was the kid that was so horribly shy, everyone just felt bad for me and left me alone. I was so ashamed and felt so bad that I never spoke to him again despite being in his class for the next 2 years. I popped out all the playground gravel that was stuck on the bottom of my shoes and dropped it down his butt crack when we were sitting on the floor for story time. I have no idea why he wasn't impressed by this. That's the best courting ritual. A friend once wrapped herself in colorful plastic wrap and topped it off with a bow so her husband could unwrap his present when he came home from work. She wrapped it too tight and he had to cut her out with scissors. The plastic wrap idea was not as sexy as she had hoped it would be. LOL, I asked out a guy once. He tried to let me down easy saying he didn't have time for a girlfriend but we could always meet up for a coffee. I immediately was like, cool, let's get a coffee tomorrow. We're still friends 10 years later, but OMG 18-year-old me could not take a hint. I like your tenacity equals. My best friend suggested she wingmans for me. They ended up being together for 7 years and their first date conversation topic was about how fat I am. I wasn't even that fat, just a chubby kid with a lot of baby weight. Frick both of those people. That's a terrible wingman. That's, like, the opposite of a wingman. In 5th grade I had a huge crush on the new Mormon boy who we'll call Alan. I was a goofy girl, super animated, very social but an outcast. He was one of the popular kids because yes, apparently there's cliques in elementary school. One day I was at my cousin's house and she had just broken out her brand new Crayon maker. You know, where you could melt crayons and create your own color. Being the fantastical and hopelessly romantic child that I was, decided I'd make Alan a crayon and give it to him at school on Monday. It was a pretty mix between white, sky blue and dark blue. There was also a little label maker so you could name your crayon. I named it Alan's World. Came Monday and I was not as courageous as I thought, so I wrote him a note to put with the crayon in his backpack. Needless to say, all the kids found it and had a great laugh. No one knew who it was from. Luckily, only 3 years later, Alan was about to move away that summer and that's when I got to reap the rewards. We made out a lot leading up to his departure. OMG love the sweet justice. I had no idea my 5th grade crush was not going to be joining us for junior high, so alas, I never got to confess to him. I gave him the Goosebumps book on Valentine's Day. In middle school, my friend hatched this convoluted plan to kiss a guy in our friend group. She had a tube of chapstick that had gone off and had a rancid taste to it, so her plan was to get him to put on the chapstick and then wait for him to comment on how bad it tasted, at which point she would kiss him, lick her lips, and be like, oh yeah, it does taste bad. The purpose was to make a kiss happen casually, I guess. Middle school logic. There seemed to be a mutual crush going on between them, but no one was making any moves and she got tired of waiting. Anyway, dude was clearly confused when she offered him chapstick, and he turned it down. My friend offers again. Nope. No. For real. Try it. It's so good. Nope. Just put it on. Not happening. Crush is becoming more and more emphatic in his refusal. The volume of the whole exchange is going up, and everyone is baffled at friend's sudden insistence that this guy use a chapstick. Crush is clearly annoyed at this point. Several minutes of hectoring escalates into her trying to physically apply the chapstick to his face. They wrestle awkwardly and people are staring. Crush is pee off and probably embarrassed and he finally snaps at her, pushes her away and storms off down the hall. Friend starts crying. Everyone else stands around going WTF. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.